Hi, it's Mark Donegan with the Marketing Execution Podcast. We're entering a world where technology is compounding faster than most companies can adapt. Your product roadmap might be built for the future, but your go-to market motion probably isn't. Research from Diamandis and Kotler points to three forces driving this acceleration. The first is exponential tech growth, the second is convergence between technologies, and the third is rapid improvements in human capability. Together, they're widening the gap between innovation velocity and market execution. In this episode, we break down a repeatable GTM framework that helps companies execute at the speed of change without burning out their teams or relying on outdated playbooks.
Tune in, listen up, it's marketing time. Bright ideas sparking, growing your mind. From strategies to big exec dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Welcome to the Marketing Execution Podcast. This is the show for tech founders and leaders building B2B products and technologies. We show you how to go further, faster to get the business results you need.
From strategies to big exec dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Mark, I've been sitting with this idea all week, and I can't shake it. You know how we always talk about planning for the future, building roadmaps, thinking 5 years out? What if that whole mental model is just broken?
You're going to have to unpack that one for me. What do you mean by broken?
Okay, so I was reading this piece about exponential technology, and the core argument is that we're not just bad at predicting the future, we're fundamentally wired to think about change in the wrong way. Like our brains default to linear progression, but technology doesn't work like that anymore.
Yes, this is something I think about constantly. And you know, technology is getting faster. It's that technologies are starting to merge, and that's where things get wild.
Wait, what do you mean merge?
So think about it this way. You've got AI developing on one track. You've got sensors getting better on another track, robotics on a third. For years, these were separate industries, separate conversations, but now they're advanced enough that they're combining. And when two exponential curves converge, you don't get addition, you get multiplication.
So like AI plus sensors equals something neither could do alone.
Exactly. And this is where I think startup founders need to pay attention because the opportunities aren't in the individual technologies anymore. They're in the intersections. I once heard of a company that completely pivoted their roadmap because they realized their core product was about to become a feature inside something bigger. They saw the convergence coming.
Okay, so that's the first big insight. Convergence is the real accelerant. What else should founders be thinking about here?
The second thing, and this one's counterintuitive, is that all this speed creates a massive adaptation problem. And I don't think people talk about this enough. The world is changing faster than humans can actually adapt to it.
What do you mean by that practically?
So there's this idea that humans need like 10 to 15 years to really adapt to major change, to build new norms, new regulations, new educational systems around something. But by 2016, the world was noticeably different every 5 to 7 years. That gap is getting worse.
So we're perpetually behind.
We're perpetually behind. And this shows up in three really specific ways that founders should understand. First, there's cultural angst. People feel disoriented. Society feels unstable. That affects buying behavior, that affects hiring, that affects everything.
I mean, we're seeing that right now with AI anxiety.
Totally. Second, the benefits of new tech get delayed because people don't know how to use it yet. Computers existed for decades before most people could actually leverage them effectively. And third, legal systems just cannot keep up. By the time regulators figure out ride sharing, we're already dealing with autonomous vehicles that make those regulations irrelevant.
So if you're a founder, you're building into this environment of constant instability.
Right. And here's the strategic implication. You can't just build a great product anymore. You have to think about how your market is going to feel about adopting something new. You have to factor in the adaptation lag.
That's actually really practical.
Okay, what's the third big thing? The third insight is about what I call the ingredients for progress: time, money, and opportunity. Technology is supposed to give us more of all three, right? That's the promise.
Yeah, that's the whole pitch. Efficiency gains, cost savings, democratized access.
But here's the paradox. Technology gives us unlimited options for how to spend our time, and that actually makes us less productive. We have so many tools, so much information, so many connections competing for attention that we end up wasting time on things that don't matter.
Oh man, I feel that in my soul.
Right. So for founders, this is critical. Your customers are drowning in options. They're not just evaluating your product against competitors. They're evaluating whether to pay attention to your entire category at all. The scarcest resource isn't money anymore. It's focused attention.
So, how do you win in that environment?
You have to be radically clear about the value you provide. No ambiguity, no making people think too hard. I saw a recent report that said the average person encounters something like 10,000 brand messages a day now. 10,000. If you're not immediately obvious, you're invisible.
That's terrifying and clarifying at the same time.
And there's one more piece to this. The digital divide is real and is getting worse. Over 2.9 billion people still aren't connected to the internet. And it's not because the networks don't exist. It's affordability, it's awareness, it's literacy. So when we talk about technology democratizing opportunity, we have to acknowledge that huge portions of the world aren't even at the starting line yet.
Which has implications for anyone thinking about global expansion.
Massive implications. You can't assume your digital-first strategy works everywhere. You have to understand the actual infrastructure and capability of your target market.
Mark, that's fascinating. Let's pivot for a second and talk about what this means for a founder with zero budget who's trying to figure out where to place their bets.
You know what's funny about that question, Tim? The zero budget founder actually has an advantage here that most people don't see.
Wait, how is having no money an advantage?
Because constraints force clarity. When you have unlimited resources, you can chase every shiny object. But when you're broke, you have to pick one bet. And in a world where technologies are converging at this speed, picking one bet and going deep is actually the winning strategy.
Okay, I'm tracking, but how do you know which bet to pick?
So this is where I think a lot of founders get it backwards. They look at individual technologies and ask which one is going to win, AI versus blockchain versus whatever. But that's the wrong question.
What's the right question?
The right question is, where two or more of these things about to crash into each other? Because that's where the real opportunity lives. I know of a company that built its entire business around the intersection of sensors and machine learning for food supply chains. Neither technology alone would have been interesting, but together, they created something nobody else was doing. And here's the thing. Most big players are too slow to move into these intersection spaces. They're organized around single technologies, single business units. So a scrappy founder with no budget can actually get there first.
That's actually really encouraging. But let me push back a little. You mentioned earlier that there's this adaptation lag, right? People need 10 to 15 years to really get comfortable with major change. So even if you find the right intersection, won't your customers just not be ready?
Yes, and this is the part that matters most for founders to understand. You're not just building a product, you're also building a bridge.
A bridge to what?
A bridge between where your customer is mentally and where the technology wants to take them. Look, I've seen so many brilliant products fail because the founders assumed customers would just get it. They won't. They can't. Their brains are wired for linear change, and you're asking them to accept something exponential.
So what does that bridge actually look like in practice?
It looks like meeting people where they are. It looks like using familiar language even when the underlying tech is wildly new. Think about how Uber launched. They didn't say, hey, we're building a peer-to-peer transportation marketplace enabled by GPS and mobile payments. They said, it's like having a private driver on your phone.
That's so simple, it almost feels too obvious.
The best positioning always does. But here's a deeper point. That simplicity isn't just marketing. It's actually solving the adaptation problem. You're giving people a mental model they already understand so they can adopt something new without feeling lost.
Okay, so you find the intersection, you build the bridge. What else?
The third piece is understanding what's actually scarce. And I think this is where the zero budget founder has to be ruthless. We talked earlier about how technology gives us more time, more money, more opportunity. But paradoxically, it also creates this overwhelming flood of options. Your customers are drowning.
Right, the 10,000 brand messages a day thing.
Exactly. So the scarcest resource isn't money anymore. It's not even really time. It's focused attention. And if you're a founder with no budget, you cannot afford to be confusing. You cannot afford to make people think too hard about what you do.
I feel like that's advice everyone needs to hear regardless of budget.
Oh, totally. But when you have money, you can buy your way out of confusion. You can run enough ads that eventually people figure it out. When you're broke, you get one shot, maybe two. And if someone doesn't immediately understand the value you provide, they're gone.
So radical clarity becomes a survival mechanism.
Yes, and honestly, the companies that nail this early tend to keep that clarity even after they raise money. It becomes part of their DNA.
You know what strikes me about everything you're saying? It's almost like the speed of change creates this weird equalizer. Big companies have resources, but they're slow. Small companies are fast, but they're resource constrained. And the ones who win are the ones who figure out how to navigate that tension.
That's exactly right. And I'd add one more thing. The speed of change also means your window to establish yourself in a new space is shrinking. By the time regulators figure out how to deal with ride sharing, we're already talking about autonomous vehicles. So if you see a convergence happening, you have to move now, not next quarter, not after your next funding round, now.
All right, Mark, this is incredibly helpful for understanding why all this matters. But I want to get practical. Let's talk about what a founder should actually do with this information. What are the specific moves they should make starting tomorrow?
Okay, so step one, and I mean literally tomorrow morning. Grab a piece of paper and draw two circles that overlap, like a Venn diagram.
Old school. I like it.
In the left circle, write down one technology you understand really well. Maybe it's AI, maybe it's sensors, whatever you've been paying attention to. In the right circle, write down a second technology that's been on your radar, but you haven't gone deep on yet.
And the overlap in the middle is where the opportunity lives.
Exactly. That's your hunting ground. Now, here's the key. Don't just sit there staring at it. Go find 3 companies already operating in that intersection space. Study what they're doing, what's working, what's not.
Can you give me an example of this actually playing out?
Yeah, so think about Figma. They saw the intersection of cloud computing and design tools. Neither was new, but putting them together created a collaborative design that Adobe couldn't touch for years. And Figma started with basically nothing compared to Adobe's resources.
Wow, and Adobe ended up paying $20 billion to acquire them.
$20 billion for a company that just picked the right intersection and moved fast. That's the whole point. You don't need to invent new technology. You need to spot where existing technologies are about to crash into each other.
Okay, so that's step 1, find the intersection. What's step 2?
Step 2 is building that bridge we talked about. And here's how you do it practically. Write down the most complex thing about your product or service, the thing that makes engineers excited, but makes normal people's eyes glaze over.
I know exactly what you mean.
Now take that complex thing and explain it using only words a 12-year-old would understand.
That sounds harder than it seems.
It is hard, but if you can't do it, your customers won't get it, period. Look at how Stripe did this. Payment processing infrastructure is incredibly complex, but their pitch was simple. 7 lines of code and you can accept payments. That's it. That's the bridge.
7 lines of code. So specific.
Specificity is everything. Generic claims like "we make payments easy" mean nothing. But 7 lines of code gives people a mental picture. They can imagine it. They can feel how simple it is.
So find the intersection, build a bridge with simple language. What's the third move?
The third move is about attention, and this is where most founders mess up completely. They try to be everywhere at once: LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, podcasts, newsletters, and they end up being nowhere because they're spread too thin.
I feel personally attacked right now.
Hey, we've all been there. But here's what I want people to do. Pick one channel where your ideal customer already hangs out, just one, and go so deep on that channel that you become impossible to ignore.
How do you know which channel to pick, though?
You ask your customers. Literally, send 10 emails today to people who've bought from you or expressed interest. Ask them where they spend time online learning about their industry. Where do they go when they want to get smarter about the problem you solve?
That's so simple, but I bet most people skip that step.
They do. They assume they know, but assumptions kill startups. Real data saves them.
Okay, so we've got 3 concrete moves. Find the intersection using the Venn diagram exercise, build the bridge by simplifying your complex thing for a 12-year-old, and pick one channel based on actual customer feedback.
Right. And here's a thing that ties it all together. Speed. You cannot sit on this stuff. The window for any given intersection is shrinking every day. Miro saw remote collaboration coming and moved fast. They didn't wait for the market to mature. They helped create it. And now they're worth billions because they understood that in a world of exponential change, being early beats being perfect. You can iterate once you're in the game. You can't iterate if you're still on the sidelines planning.
This is so actionable. I love it.
One more thing. Tomorrow, after you do the Venn diagram exercise, I want people to set a 48-hour deadline to reach out to 5 potential customers in that intersection space. Not to sell anything, just to learn. Ask them what problems keep them up at night. Ask them what tools they wish existed.
48 hours? That's aggressive.
That's the point. Constraints create momentum. If you give yourself 2 weeks, you'll procrastinate. 2 days forces action. And action creates learning faster than any amount of research or planning.
All right. Mark, we've covered so much ground today. Can you pull it all together for us and summarize the key points our listeners should walk away with?
All right, let me bring this all together. We started by talking about how our brains are wired for linear thinking, but technology moves exponentially. That mismatch is the core challenge for every founder today. The real opportunities aren't in single technologies anymore. They're in the intersections where 2 or more exponential curves collide. That's where Figma found their $20 billion outcome. That's where scrappy founders can beat slow-moving giants. But finding the opportunity isn't enough. You have to build a bridge for your customers because people need time to adapt to change. Use simple language. Be radically specific. And finally, attention is the scarcest resource. Pick one channel, go deep, and move fast. The window for any intersection is shrinking every single day.
Mark, after everything we discussed today, what's the one thing you really hope people don't forget when they turn off this episode?
Here's what I want people to remember. The future doesn't reward the smartest founder. It rewards the fastest learner. You will be wrong about almost everything when you start, and that's fine. What matters is how quickly you can get into the market, talk to real customers, and adjust. Stop planning for a future you can't predict. Start building so you can discover what the future actually needs. The Marketing Execution Podcast is produced by Growth Stage Marketing. We are on a mission to see your company reach wild success using marketing pods.
Too big, accept dreams. Catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing convergence.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the marketing execution movement and community. To learn how growth stage marketing clients reach more buyers and drive business impact, go to growthstage.marketing. That's growthstage.marketing.